Are you kidding me? Sirens screaming in the distance, blue lights bouncing off my pool water. All because Karen Sterling, the almighty HOA president, called 911 on me, and here's the kicker. I wasn't trespassing. I wasn't breaking any rule. I was sitting by my own damn pool on my own land, meeting with the United States General about a federal project. But that didn't matter to Karen. In her little kingdom, her word was law until it wasn't. Let me back up. My name's Henry Mallister. I live in Lakewood Heights, a lakeside community that looks peaceful on postcards but feels more like a dictatorship once you've been here a while. My wife Elena is a nurse. We have a little girl, Sophie, who still believes neighbors are supposed to be kind. I wish that were true. Instead, for the last 3 years, Karen Sterling has run our HOA like a queen with an iron fist. Her favorite weapon, petty rules and intimidation. That Saturday, the sun was throwing gold across the lake, and I was sitting at my patio table with General Douglas Hayes. Yeah, a real General Silverhair presence that makes people sit straighter without even realizing it. We were deep in discussion about a rehabilitation center for veterans funding plans, long-term impact. Important stuff. Meanwhile, across the lawn, Karen's teenage son, Kyle, swaggered up with 3 buddies. Swim trunks, cell phones, that high school cockiness that comes from knowing your mom's the most feared person in the neighborhood. "Hey, old man," he yelled, "you're using the community pool without permission." I didn't even look up at first. My pool sat 50 feet from the HOA's actual pool. I built it. I paid for it. But Kyle didn't care about facts. His mom had trained him well. I told him calmly, "This pool belongs to my family, Kyle. You're welcome to ask permission like anyone else, but don't confuse it with the community pool." The boy flushed red. His friends laughed at him, and that only made it worse. He whipped out his phone-hit record and sneered, "You don't own this water. My mom's the HOA president. She says all water activities need approval." General Hayes glanced at me, eyebrows raised. I knew then that Karen was about to take the bait her son had dangled. And sure enough, seconds later I heard the sharp click of high heels. Karen Sterling swept down the walkway like she owned the lake itself. Perfect blonde hair, expensive athleisure outfit, jewelry sparkling in the sun, that condescending smile plastered on her face. "What seems to be the problem here?" she asked, voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Mrs. Sterling." I stood up, keeping my tone measured. "There's no problem. I'm on my property at my pool having a meeting with General Hayes. Your son is a little confused about boundaries." Her eyes flicked to the blueprints on my table, to the general, back to Kyle's phone still recording. I could see her brain spinning, trying to twist this into one more weapon. Then came her attack. "I need to see your permits for this pool, and I need to know why you're conducting unauthorized business meetings in a residential area. This is a violation of HOA standards." I almost laughed. Business meetings unauthorized. But before I could respond, Hayes rose to his full height and leveled that stare at her. "Ma'am," he said quietly, "you're making a very serious mistake." For a second, just a second, Karen faltered. But she wasn't HOA president by backing down. She straightened her shoulders and doubled down, spouting regulations that didn't exist, inventing forms she knew I'd never filed. And I felt my chest tighten. I thought maybe I'm fighting a losing battle. Maybe I really am the problem here. 6 months of fines, threats, being banned from HOA meetings, neighbors whispering that I was difficult. What if I just sold this house? What if Karen won because I wasn't strong enough to keep fighting? That thought made me sick. But it was there. Then Elena stepped out of our cabin with a tray of iced tea. And, like it was nothing, she pulled a folded email from her pocket and handed it to me. It was from Karen herself, proof she'd barred me from HOA meetings, accusing me of disrupting community leadership. And Kyle's phone caught every word as I read it out loud. Karen's mask cracked. Her son's expression shifted. The queen's crown was slipping. And that's when everything truly unraveled. Karen's phone rang loud and sharp. She answered on speaker, maybe by accident, maybe because her Bluetooth betrayed her. A man's voice filled the air. "Karen, it's Thomas Blackwood. We have a problem with the Mallister situation. The federal advisor is asking too many questions. Activate Plan B. File an environmental emergency. Force evacuation within 48 hours. Meridian development can't afford delays. Silence fell. Then chaos. Neighbors stepped out of their homes. Kyle lowered his phone, his face pale. Hayes leaned forward like a predator scenting blood. "Mrs. Sterling," he said, "I think you'd better keep that call connected." Karen scrambled, fumbling to end it. Too late. We'd all heard her. Elena, God bless her, didn't stop there. She picked up Kyle's backpack, the one he'd dropped on the grass, and pulled out a bottle with a bright yellow label. Her nurse's eyes widened. "This is banned algicide," she said firmly. "Toxic. Industrial strength. Karen." "Why does your son have this?" The boy's face crumbled. "Mom, you told me it was sunscreen and snacks. You gave me this morning." His voice broke on the last word. His live stream was still rolling, broadcasting every second of his mother's betrayal. General Hayes took the bottle, turned it in his hands, his voice like cold steel. "This chemical could burn skin." "Were you planning to poison this man's pool?" Karen opened her mouth, but no sound came. For the first time, she was speechless. And that's when the sirens grew loud. Officer Martinez, a man I'd worked with before, stepped out of his cruiser calm but sharp-eyed. He took in the scene, Karen shaking Kyle, clutching his phone with tears in his eyes, Hayes with military credentials, Elena holding evidence. "Good afternoon, folks," Martinez said. "We got multiple calls about threats. Who wants to explain?" Kyle's voice cracked but came out clear. "Officer, my mom has been poisoning pools and trying to force families out. She gave me that chemical. She told me Mr. Mallister was the enemy, but he's not. He's trying to help veterans. She's been working with Meridian Development to take over our homes." I swear I saw Karen shrink 2 inches in that moment. Her own son live on camera exposing her crimes. Then came the final blow. Dorothy Campbell, 75 years old and tougher than anyone in the neighborhood, marched across the lawn with a heavy banker's box. She dropped it at Martinez's feet. "Officer, I've been collecting evidence for 18 months. Falsified documents, threats, payoffs from Meridian. Every dirty thing Karen has done as HOA president is in here." Neighbors gasped. Kyle's phone caught it all. Hayes stood taller than ever. Elena put an arm around Sophie, who was peeking from the porch wide-eyed. Martinez flipped through the files, his face hardening. "Mrs. Sterling," he said finally, "you're under investigation for harassment, conspiracy, and potential environmental crimes. Please place your hands where I can see them." And just like that, the Queen's reign ended. In front of her son, her neighbors, the general, and the police. She shrieked, cursed, clawed at the air, but it didn't matter. Handcuffs clicked. The crowd watched silently as Karen Sterling, the woman who thought she was untouchable, was led away. I didn't cheer. I didn't smile. I just stood there, heart pounding, thinking about how close I'd come to giving up, how close I'd been to letting her win. But justice, real justice, had finally come to Lakewood Heights. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this: bullies only win when good people stay silent.